Good evening, campers. First of all, thank you so much for your continued support. It actually has made a huge world of difference to the amount of effort and the amount of time I can actually put towards reading books and reviewing them. Now, for those people who are part of the Glamper membership, once every quarter they can choose a book for me to read and review. And the one for this quarter was Louise Erdrich's The Night Watchman, which some of you might know as the winner of the National Book Award and the Pulitzer Prize. Now, I'll be completely honest, as a Welshman, I've never heard of Louise Erdrich. I didn't know that she has a vast back catalogue as well. I don't know if she's just not well known over in Britain, but I've never come across the name before. So I was surprised when the Pulitzer announced this book. I don't really know anything about it. I didn't know if this was a debut. I didn't know anything at all. The first question that's worth answering is, who is the Night Watchman? The most obvious and most literal answer is the Night Watchman is Thomas Wazhashk, whose job is the Night Watchman. It's worth mentioning here that Thomas Wazhashk is based on Erdrich's grandfather, and this is a piece of historical fiction. Now, Wazhashk comes across a letter which he finds troubling and that he needs to resolve. Now, that letter is the HCR 108 from Congress. On August the 1st, 1953, Wazhashk comes across a piece of paper. Now, what is that piece of paper? Just know at the moment it's very important and he feels as though he needs to fight against what's written on it. And this paper is almost, it's not exactly, it's almost the background and the context to everything that happens within this novel. From the United States Congress, HCR 108 is going to be enforced. Now, Wazhashk comes from the Chippewa Band of the Turtle Mountain Reservation, and HCR 108 looks to take land away from the Indians and sell it on, or provide the means to be able to sell it on to other people. Now, those other people are rich white men who have a economic or political interest in owning that piece of land. Wazhashk feels as though for the Chippewas, this is their land, it's their home, it's their culture, it's their heritage, it's literally their land. And there's this sense, there's this knowing that if no one does anything about HCR 108, that the Chippewas will just be left behind. They'll lose what makes them Chippewa. They'll lose their sense of identity. They'll just become forgotten. Wazhashk takes it upon himself to appeal against HCR 108. He wants to preserve his identity. He wants to preserve their identity. Erdrich understands that when we talk about a group of people, that it's not always homogenous. It's not everyone thinks the exact same way. When we talk about certain groups, it's almost as if everyone feels the exact same thing, and that's not always the case. And Erdrich, as a writer, is attuned to this. So contrasting against Wazhashk, who wants to fight for his heritage, he wants to fight for his people, we have Patrice, or maybe we should call her Pixie. That's what she prefers to be called. Now, she is Chippewa, but she understands that the Chippewa way of life isn't for her at this moment. Not that she should wholly abandon the Chippewa way of life, but she understands that the American way gives her benefits. The American way gives her a future, gives her prosperity, gives her a better means of life almost. And we're going to follow Pixie, or Patrice, stumble into this world as she grows up. And we almost have a Bildungsroman story built in this. And we'll see Pixie fall, and we'll see her pick herself up. Torn between these two cultures, which side is she going to choose? And there's conflict between the Chippewa and the white man. And we see this within a boxing match. The Chippewa boxer loses consistently here, which kind of brings me on to another facet of the Night Watchman. The language is really important. To say that the Chippewa boxer lost, well, am I saying that he lost because he wasn't a good fighter? Did he lose because he got knocked out? Did he lose because there was some cheating going on? Did he lose because the odds were in someone else's favour? And really, this book deals with language, especially between the English and the Chippewa language. Where English, when we talk about, say, for Patrice, about sex education, that she doesn't speak about that with her mother in Chippewa. And sometimes she doesn't have the words in English. She doesn't know what the words are, that there is a barrier between daughter and mother. Simultaneously, and we all know about this with the Congress letter, HR 108, it has words such as to improve the land. But you and I know what that means. It doesn't mean that it's going to improve it for everyone. It means that it's going to be taken by someone else. A bureaucratic language is very ambiguous to some degree, and sometimes that ambiguity is sinister. It's malicious in its mission to be understandable by all but equally neutral on situations. We find something darker within it. We understand as a reader what is being said, and we know what will happen. And Wazhashk understands that notion. How is he going to deal with this? Now, within the Night Watchman, we're not going to follow this boxing match. We're not going to follow Patrice. We're not going to follow Wazhashk. Short chapters dominate through this, and with that we have a huge variety of characters, all the intricacies that Erdrich has weaved throughout this. And I say this positively, that Erdrich is a fantastic story writer. We will leave some characters for 50 pages and bring them back to the forefront, or there'll be something niggling away at you, that there's a piece of information that you don't have, and 100 pages later it's given to you. And we see how this community sprawls even outside of the Turtle Mountain Reservation, how it eeps and bleeds out into white man America. And how do they deal with confrontation? How do they deal with empathy? How do they deal with just sympathy? How do they deal at their highest, and how do they deal at their lowest? Of recent books that I've read that I could say this is akin to, I would say Mary Lawson's A Town Called Solace, but Erdrich takes this outside of just 3 people. And also we have a moment where we have ghosts in the background who give their perspective. We move into the spiritual world. Sometimes it didn't work, but sometimes it did. And when it did work, it was great. But don't think this is magical realism, that we're going to spend much time in the spiritual world. It's just another perspective that views this situation in a way that encapsulates a lot of the feelings. And so within this piece of historical fiction, Erdrich doesn't tar everyone with the same brush. She understands individuals. And I would say that every character feels strong in their own right. I've never read anything about Indian reservations before, and I could see that being a topic to someone outside of America being a bit daunted. I had my own apprehensions, I'll be completely honest. But because this is such a strongly written story, even as a layperson, you can come into this and understand what is being captured, what is being put on the paper. You understand all these individuals, you understand this situation. And for that, I give this an 8 out of 10. Glampers, you chose well. And if you would like to put a book forward for me to read, please do consider signing up to the Glamper membership. And in the next 3 months, so for the end of March, there will be another Glamper read. And I will see you then. Bye!